And welcome to Night Talk. I'm your host, Jerry Bowyer. This evening we focus on what may turn out to be the most important public policy issue of 2009. Namely, should the federal government create a centrally controlled universal health care system funded by and controlled by the United States government? Before we turn to our guest this evening and begin the topic, it's important that you understand that this evening we invited two local Democratic senators, one who's on the record in support of the idea of a national health care plan, the other who is unclear in his public statements about the issue. I'm referring to Congressman Mike Doyle and Congressman Jason Altmaier. Neither was able or willing to attend the program this evening. I would say that anytime they'd like to appear on this program, at least with me as guest host, they're more than welcome to appear. We'll be happy to work around their schedules to make sure that they have an opportunity to defend the plan that they are either neutral on or in favor of before they cast any ballot on this very, very important issue. But that having been said, let's get to the people who did want to be on the air on the program tonight to talk about it and who felt confident enough to defend their point of view. Diana Irie is a Washington County Commissioner, well-known leader in the region. Diana, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Jerry.
You've been here a number of times before, but this is the first time you've been on here with me.
That's correct.
Well, we'll make this your most fun one.
Okay, that's a good plan.
Glenn Meekham's also been here before. Glenn Meekham, founder of Free Markets, Meekham Becker Venture Capital, and also the Glenn Meekham radio program, which you can hear on 104.7. When?
Saturday mornings at 7 a.m., but soon moving to noon.
Nice.
And Sunday mornings at 8 a.m.
It's a great program.
Yep.
It's a wonderful
show. One or two more weeks at 7 a.m. on Saturday, then it'll be noon.
Good.
On Saturdays.
And you know what? You can also get it on iTunes.
Yes,
right?
and at glennmeekham.com.
And at glennmeekham.com. All right, let's get into the issue. Diana, I know that you have strong feelings about this because you held a tea party in Washington County, your base of operations, and there was a great deal of interest from the people there in the audience, specifically about health care and about issues regarding freedom in general. But it seemed like health care was different, that there was a sense that this was something really momentous. First of all, why are you speaking out on this issue? You're a Washington County Commissioner, right? So it's not entirely a county issue. So what moved you to sort of get into issues like this?
Well, I think that you have to show leadership. You have to bring issues to the people and give the people a chance to come and tell you what they think about the issues. And then, as a county commissioner, we're oftentimes letting our legislators know how we feel about issues. We take a stand. We unite not only as county commissioners, but commissioners across the state and then on a national level. So we have the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania that we work with, and we have the National Association of Counties as well.
Yes, and you're affected by it financially. I mean, if we start defunding other health care plans in order to fund the public option, that hits states, then it hits counties.
It does,
yeah.
Because it always gets passed down to us to deal with.
Now, Glenn, you were at that same tea party.
Yes, I've been to 4 so far this year.
Have you? That's good.
Oh, yeah.
What's your response to the barrage of criticism? There's a great deal of maligning of this groundswell of public opposition to the direction of the country. These tea parties, I mean, I look out at these tea parties and you know what I see? I see my uncle, right? I don't see healthcare lobbyists. I don't see, radicals. I see just people the kind of people I grew up with.
Right. At the July 4th Tea Party, which was on Telegraph Hill in Shenley Park, we had minimum 1,100 people, 1,100 people who showed up at 9 a.m. on July 4th morning. No one was paid to be there. Right. No one was bussed in. No one was organized.
Right.
It was all just Americans expressing their point of view, who were petitioning their representatives, petitioning their government for change.
For redress of grievances.
And you know what? And I'll tell you, if you were there, they were young, they were old, they were white, they were black.
Yeah.
It was our whole community, just individual people who are concerned about the future of our country and our state were there expressing their outrage at what is going on with our government right now.
You know, it's an odd criticism that the opponents of town hall protesters and Tea Party advocates, the criticism that's been made against them is very odd. Because what we've been told is they're paid, they're organized.
Well, not that they're paid, that they're organized.
Well, kind of both. Sometimes it's paid.
But the left wing, the only way the left wing can put people at a rally is to organize them, put everybody in the same T-shirts, put them on buses, pay them, and so of course it's the unions, it's the Democratic Machine,
Right.
it's MoveOn.org,
Right.
it's WhiteHouse.gov, it's all these organizations, and that's how they operate. And they assume that moderate people, there's plenty of Democrats, all kinds of people, moderate people, conservative people who just show up because they're concerned citizens. They assume that we have to operate the same way.
Right.
When in fact, no, we don't, because it's about Americans
They assume
standing
we're
up for
paid
what
or
they believe.
manipulated to be
Right.
there because they have to pay or manipulate people to get to their rallies.
Exactly. Exactly.
The fascinating thing is during the campaign, I signed up for the Barack Obama campaign email.
Yeah.
Right? So I get the blast. And I'm getting blasts that tell me that they're hiring full-time organizers.
$15 an hour.
You're right.
That's right.
Yeah, not bad work, right? Especially
No,
with the youth unemployment rate at 26%. Well,
Right.
that's great fodder for people who now want to be community organizers,
That's
paid
right.
for by money that basically is recycled through government programs. And they're doing a bus tour. So they're criticizing allegedly organized citizens who are showing up at these tea parties when in fact they're organizing, and they still can't get people to show up even though they've got paid organizers and they've got a bus. And by the way, they're busing people from outside the district into the district. In the meantime, Democratic congressmen are yelling at some of these people saying, you're not part of the district. At the same time, the Obama campaign is busing people from outside of the district. It takes a lot of chutzpah, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's, are we going to have truth? What do I expect from a leader? To trust a leader, they have to tell you the truth. Why would you follow anybody who's not telling you the truth? And who you can see is lying to you.
Yeah.
And these are lies. To accuse regular people, retired Americans, just regular people who show up because they're concerned, to accuse them of having bad intentions, of being, evil mongers. Harry Reid called the Tea Party protesters and town hall people evil mongers.
Right.
And of course,
Nancy Pelosi said they're showing up with swastikas.
which is just a
Implying that
lie.
they're Nazis,
A
right.
lie.
Yeah.
And these are regular Americans, just standing up for what they believe, and it's really outrageous the way. What's happened is that the far left wing, not moderates, not reasonable people, but the far left wing has taken control of the Democratic Party and has taken control of our government.
Yeah.
And when you look at an $800 billion stimulus package, when you look at the attempt to nationalize, socialize, whatever you want to call it, health care,
right.
and that's what it is. I mean, I've gone through the detail of this bill. I've analyzed it.
Yes.
And it explicitly puts the government in control of health insurance.
Right.
Puts the government, specifically the Secretary of Health and Human Services, in control of what treatments are allowed for what age groups.
Yes.
It raises taxes on small business owners,
right.
and the people who are the engines of the economy, the people who create the jobs for others,
yes.
are taxed. Will have tax rates way above anything under Bill Clinton.
Let's talk about that a little more after this break.
Sure.
Because one of the things I like is what you just did. You cited the legislation. And you know what's really interesting about this protest movement is the people who are protesting are far more likely to have read the legislation than the people who are actually deciding whether to implement it. And that is a really important watershed in American history.
Is.
And Glenn, you also asked a question I'd like to take a shot at when we come back, which is why would anyone ever want to believe a leader who's not telling them the truth? It's a great question. And I'm going to try to answer it in the next segment. We're going to have Glenn with us, and we're going to have Diana with us for the whole time, and maybe some phone calls from you as well. I'm Jerry Bowyer, and you're watching Night Talk. We'll be right back.